There's nothing quite like starting out the Press Row Show, the #1 rated pregame, intermission, and postgame show this side of the Mississippi and south of the Arctic Circle, with a song that will absolutely get flagged by YouTube. We might just have to cut out the very beginning of the show, but that's okay. We don't really care about the money. We care about you. And that's why you find us and we find you here on the Press Row Show. Again, the #1 rated pregame, intermission, and postgame show this side of the Mississippi, south of the Arctic Circle, proudly presented by Packhorse Moving. We'll be talking about them in a little bit, but if you're looking for a move, promo code SNOW. Get $77 off your next move. I'm joined, as always, by Anthony SanFilippo, and we typically have a special guest pregame.
And guest
hey,
How you doing, everybody?
Well, who's that?
That's Elvis Bundy.
Elvis Bundy
is our special guest today.
Joining the Press Row Show.
Try a few different disguises for Anthony. I'm going to be displaying him through the broadcast tonight to make sure that he gets down to the press room after for a convenient interview for all of our great fans here at Snow the Goalie.
So just to be clear, you're testing this for him?
Oh, I've got a multitude of test runs tonight. Yeah.
Oh,
I'm starting off with Elvis, though, because I think Elvis just gets her done right out of the gate.
So what you're telling me is that if Ant goes down post game and tries to ask a question and he gets this,
Not answering your questions.
that he should put that on and then try again, or should he go in with that on?
Oh, don't just go in. Say Elvis has got the interview tonight.
Got it.
Yeah.
Listen, it's great to be back. It's great to, and you know what, Elvis Bundy, it's great to have you here.
Thank you.
For pregame, a special pregame appearance by you. And I think it honestly kind of elevates the show when you're here pregame. And I'll tell people out there right now, I think we can announce who's going to be with us first intermission. Is that correct?
Yeah.
First intermission, we'll have special guest, former Flyers coach, Stanley Cup winning coach with the St. Louis Blues, Craig Berube, Chief, will be here first intermission. So you have Flyers fans in your lives who are like, I don't know, do I really want to watch the game tonight? They don't have to watch the game. They come over here to the Press Row Show. First intermission, we'll have Chief on. So Craig Berube joining the show, first intermission. Very exciting stuff. Bundy,
There's a coach that'll answer our questions.
I'll tell you what. How about you go down and find Hack? Hack will answer your questions.
I'll go want me to interview Hackstall after the game?
You know, I have to tell you. Can I say this really quickly? We're gonna kind of toe the line of how much I get us in trouble or not. I had somebody else from the media on the way up to the balcony tonight.
Yeah.
Looked at me and said, "Did Torts really not know who Anthony is? Because he did the whole like, where's the?
You know,
who's the? Is that guy here?" And I was like, "Of course he knew who Anthony was. Like, what are we doing here? What are we doing?" And so the media member, who will remain anonymous because fear of
this is last game.
No, this is just tonight. No. When he had the initial blow up with Anthony, right? He did the whole "is that guy here?" I'm saying the guy on the media elevator tonight, and I'll leave him anonymous.
Look at this guy.
Oh, there's the poop stirrer the most. This guy stirs the pot.
God, we've come a long way with that guy, haven't we?
I know.
We have.
That guy didn't know. If he could have thrown us off the balcony at any time prior to this year, he would have gladly done it. Not anymore.
Yeah.
This media person looked at me before the game and said, so if he knows who Anthony is, and now he's done this thing with him twice in the media room, I don't understand. Like, is he just doing it for the cameras? So I'm going to ask the people out there. If Torts doesn't answer Anthony's question again, is he just doing it for the cameras? We'll find out post-game. In the meantime, Bundy, I'm excited to see what else you have in your little chest of disguises over there.
They will be coming on throughout the evening.
Dana Carvey, Master of Disguise. That was the thing.
Yeah.
So anyway, welcome in. Flyers take on the Seattle Kraken tonight. They're welcoming former head coach Dave Hackstall into the Wells Fargo Center.
The Kraken haven't played in 11 days.
That's pretty rough.
Haven't played what?
They haven't played in 11 days. This is their first game since the break.
Oh, my God.
It's unbelievable. Like, think about that, Bunny. That was something I wanted to talk about because it really goes into my prediction for tonight.
Oh, my God.
I mean, what is that like to get 11 days off? Think about when you took like a couple weeks off for the Olympics, right? Like, what is that like coming back, that first game back after that?
Oh, my God. It's like, it'll be like, remember the Flyers against Florida?
That first period?
Yeah.
It'll be like that.
It could be. I mean, I don't know what to say, but that's a long time off.
Yeah, and so, to me, that makes the first period for the Flyers the most important period of this game.
100%. And again, if you listen to what
Tort said at the end of last game, I mean, he didn't look like he was happy at all about the game. And you know what? That's kind of messed up because I actually thought the Flyers, even with the lead, I thought they played pretty good. You know, it's hard to have did Winnipeg push back a little bit? Of course. They were down 4-0 most of the game.
Yeah.
But I don't think it was that bad that
the shot disparity was pretty severe, and I think that's what some people pointed to. But as a whole, like, we're as critical as anybody else, right? And like, Bundy, you and I sat here post-game a couple nights ago, and we said there was nothing egregious that stood out that should have warranted the kind of response that the coach put out there. But Ant, you were down in the room. You didn't get the chance to ask a question because he stormed off, I think, before...
A minute. 1 minute and 4 seconds.
Yeah. Does he get paid by the minute or no?
Well, I mean, it was quite obvious after the...
It's not a commission job, Bundy.
No, but it was quite obvious after, 3 questions that he was not going to answer anything.
Yeah.
So at that point, it's like, well, why even bother? Although Wayne Fish suggested, he said, the best thing would have been if you stood up and asked like a minute and a half long question.
Just to hold him there.
Just to keep him there. But didn't do that. I didn't do that.
What a shame.
I didn't think to do that. To me, it was like, what's the point? Like, this guy's not going to answer any questions. It doesn't matter if it's me or you or Bundy or anybody asking a question. It doesn't matter who it is.
Yeah.
You can answer nobody's questions.
What a shame.
Anyway.
What a shame. Anyway, that kind of stuff flies in Columbus. I don't think it flies here for much longer if that's the path he takes. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. But as we mentioned earlier, we will have a coach who will take some questions here in the first period as Craig Berube joins the show for the second time in, 2 weeks? 2.5 weeks?
I know. We had him on the night of the alumni game.
Yeah. And he's back
did
on.
Chief jump on that game?
He did.
Briefly,
He sure did.
We had him for about 5 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, he's great. He came over tonight, and I mean, he's just driving in, just calls, hey, what's up, Bundy? I'm heading to the game tonight. Oh, good. You want to get dinner downstairs? Sure. You mind coming on the podcast? No, I'd love to. Where is it?
The best.
Man, by the way, the Stanley Cup winning coach in actually the last decade, too.
How about that?
Yeah.
This is true. Yep, this is true.
Huh, so. Interesting. Very interesting. All right. A lot to get into with tonight's game. The Flyers have won 2 straight. They pulled off that game that was a surprise on the road against Florida. They didn't allow that momentum to go away. They rode it. They absolutely took Winnipeg out of the last game immediately. They put their foot on their throat. And although Winnipeg did mount a bit of a ferocious charge, probably a little bit later in that game, which is what presumably pissed Torts off as much as it did, they still managed to... Boy, is that guy wasted enough that he just went over the rope?
He was waving to somebody and tripped over the stanchion.
Yeah,
Where's the alcohol compliance officer?
I know, clumsy. Anyway, they've won 2 straight after losing 5 straight going into the break.
Yeah.
Have to think that morale is at a high right now, but the big news tonight is that Cal Peterson is in goal.
Yeah.
And not Sam Ersson, and if this team is to make that playoff push, Bundy and I talked about this post-game the other night, but they are going to have to get Cal Peterson some games here. They have to figure out if he can be the backup, or if they might, even though they don't want to buy, if they think they're going to make the playoffs or they're going to make that push, perhaps they look at adding another veteran backup goalie.
Yeah, I don't know if they go that route. I don't know if you really want to get another contract for a goalie here. That being said, it's important that he wins a couple games for them. I mean, he doesn't have to win a lot. He's probably got to win them 3 or 4 games.
That might be a big ask, too. Might be 2 or 3. I mean, if you're just looking for points, I don't know how many games he's going to get, Anthony, right?
Well, I mean, there's
30
games left. And that's why I thought he might get 6 or 7.
Yeah, right.
So if you can win half of them, if you win half of those starts, then you did your job as the backup goalie. And the one thing I'll defend Torts on this with why he was upset after last game. We talk about them winning those 2 games, and look, the Florida win was more impressive, obviously, because they really, really dominated for 2 periods, and it was less dominating against Winnipeg. But the reality of it is they've won 2 games and only really played 3 of the 6 periods.
Yes.
Right? And
yes.
So if you're a coach, that's what you're mad about. You're sitting there saying, there's not many times when you play 3 out of 6 and don't play 3 out of 6 that you're going to come away with 4 points. And so I think that's probably the message that he's trying to get across in that. being upset as he is.
I understand that, but that's also the process that happens sometimes. You don't design it like that.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't design to come out and look like a men's league team in the first against Florida.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, they were so bad, it was an embarrassment, and I was actually nervous for the team moving into the second third, and they flipped the whole script.
Yeah.
They played great. Yeah, Torts, I'm sure, got up in their rear ends, and he should have. It wasn't lax, too easy. But then the other 2 games, they came in, and Dan Hilferty there, by the way.
There you go.
Is there ever a time we don't get a thumbs up and a huge wave from him?
Always a nice positive interaction.
Dude, every single
If we
time.
asked him a question, do you think he would answer? If Jonesy came by and we asked a question, do you think he would answer?
Yes.
If Danny came by and we asked a question, would he answer?
Yes.
If Brent Flair walked by and we asked a question, would he answer?
Probably.
If Rocky Thompson, I don't actually know. I don't know the man.
What were we just talking about?
I don't know.
The playing 3 periods versus.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. But what happens is, and then Winnipeg, right? You have a great start. Your best player has a Gordie Howe in the first period. They're rolling through the second, and then Winnipeg, with about 10 minutes left in the second, started taking a little bit more up, but they didn't have anything in the middle of the ice.
Right.
It was all perimeter, so that's my problem with Torts' shortness after the game the other night, was the fact that he was simply talking about the body of work, and I didn't think the body of work was that bad.
Yeah, I think he was more upset at the fact that there was nothing in the offensive end. But I guess when you're up, and this is where you side with the players, right?
Right.
You have a 4-0 lead.
Humanity kicks in.
It's just like, all right, we got this.
Yeah, because the guy on Winnipeg's getting his ass chewed out by his coach,
right,
saying pick it up and put more heart into it. And the Flyers on that side is saying, oh, wait a minute, we need to be better, but we also have a big lead here, and let's just make sure we're doing the right things.
If we ask him a question, will he give an answer?
Not on the show.
Not on the show.
But
not on the show.
If we did it off camera, he would.
Well,
yeah, and that's what I'm saying. So the Flyers, when you're up 4-0, the coach isn't saying anything to you about being better because you're up 4-0.
Yeah.
So the other guy is going to get in there and he's going to have a little bit more edge as the game goes on, because he's thinking to himself, geez, my spot in the lineup might be out tomorrow night.
Sure.
And so that's what you want. You want guys to know that. But I didn't think it was that bad of a night. I thought it was a good game for the Flyers. Disappointing the shutout didn't happen with the late goal, but it was a good effort, I thought.
There are, the interesting thing to me is there are coaches, and it's not just in the NHL. I mean, we can go macro here, and I can think of a guy who's going to be coaching in another Super Bowl tomorrow, who, no matter if the team wins or loses, it's the same affect every time, and the answers are always the same, right? Andy Reid, win or lose, it's always, that's on me, I got to put the players in better position, and it gets really annoying if you're media, or if you're a fan looking for, like, why did we lose this game, or, hey, like, be a little bit more effusive and praise if they win. I'm always intrigued by the coaches that make it sound worse than it was in a win and make it sound better than it was in a loss. There aren't many. Torts is one of them. I don't get it, but I guess if it works with the guys in the locker room, then by all means. And I did want to bring something up, though, because it was going around the hockey world. And, like, look, when you say Kevin Hayes' fingerprints are all over something, it gets clipped on social media, and then the Chicklets guys whine, and then they never send the link. But you mentioned the other day that the Flyers and Travis Konecny and his agent had some preliminary discussions about a contract extension.
At the All-Star game, yeah.
We did not clip that up. That's on intern Andrew. We didn't clip that up. And then I saw yesterday, I guess it was, I saw Elliot Friedman put out on 32 Thoughts. And then we started getting the typical,
oh my God, Elliot Friedman on 32 Thoughts. He said this thing, he's breaking the news.
No, I don't care, because it was your report, not mine. But you did mention it, so I want to kind of circle back to it.
So I'll tell people this. Travis's agent is my agent and one of my closest friends. All right, we had I had Pat since I was in college as a representative. A great friend. I spoke to him on the phone the other day. That's all I can say.
Oh, there you go. That's something. Now, speaking of the guy,
you know what?
There's a guy. That's a guy who might know. He might know something about it.
Here we go.
Look at this. Did we? Look at this.
Come.
All right, we're getting an impromptu.
Hold on. Just
here, pass that one over.
Yeah.
We're getting an impromptu appearance here from Flyers president Keith Jones.
What's up, Jonesy?
Everything's good, boys. Everything's good.
Yes, absolutely. Everything's great.
Just met with a bunch of new season ticket holders that bought in today. got a lot of good, excited fans about what's happening around here. I'm really pumped about it.
I mean, you have to be, right? I mean, you come out of the break. I know you lose 5 in a row, but then you get 2 wins against 2 really good teams, and you're still sitting in a playoff spot with 30 games to go. If I would have said to you beginning of the season, Jonesy, 30 games to go, you guys are in a playoff spot, do you look at me sideways a little bit?
I still don't even look at the standings. That's the best part of it. I just want to see how we play.
Yeah.
It's a style of play that matters to me.
Yeah.
I know we're not winning the Stanley Cup this year, but I want us to develop the habits that we need to be a team that can win in the future. And that's the most important thing. Every time I watch our players play and watch, Torts do his job behind the bench coaching, I think there's a real identity that we can continue to build on and make a really good, a good thing happen for a long time here. That's the key.
I want to put your feet to the fire really quick.
Jonesy. Actually, one question. We're just talking about the 2 games. We're talking about Torts, maybe thought 3 of the periods were good. Have you ever seen anything like Florida where you saw a team play the first and then flip the script entirely?
They had 2 really hard days of practice right before it, and I think they were a little slow to get going, but the practice paid off. I mean, everything that they worked on was about defending better, covering the front of the net.
Yep.
And they went at it. You know how those drills are when you're out there working on that. Sometimes it can take a little dent out of you, especially after being off for 7 days. So I wasn't shocked that they, kind of rebounded the way that they did. And you look at the goaltending of Sam Ersson to keep us in that game early on.
Yes.
If you get behind against Florida, they, unlike us, are a team that's ready to win a Stanley Cup now.
Yeah.
And we beat a very good team.
You did.
I do want to put your feet to the fire really quick because there's one
last question.
Yeah, this is the last thing. You mentioned how Sam has been playing in net. Looks great coming out of the break. There are obviously questions about the backup situation. Cal is in there tonight. There are people asking about if Kolosov could come over at some point this year, or if that's a further down the line thing. Are you guys kind of taking a look at the backup goalie situation, considering there's a chance the playoffs are still potentially in play? Is that a position that you're at least considering? All options are open.
I would say that every game that Cal starts is an important game. And he's a big part of what we're doing right now.
Right.
Sam's not going to be able to play every game. Yeah. So it's important for Cal to get out there and do his thing. We have a lot of goaltenders in the pipeline, a lot of Russian goaltenders in the pipeline. So I'm looking forward to watching those guys perform over here when they arrive, and some will be here sooner than later. So, I think that's a big part of our future. There's no question about it.
Fantastic.
Good stuff. Joe,
Thanks for the impromptu
We got Chief coming in first intermission, so I'm getting all the band back together.
You better get someone that can interpret what he's trying to say.
Jonesy, thanks for stopping in. That's great stuff. Love having him stop on.
We always say this, it's the #1 rated pregame, intermission, and postgame show this side of the Mississippi for a reason. You never know who's going to show up on the Press Row Show.
Yeah. Absolutely. I thought you were going to ask me about Konecny. I thought that's what your question.
No, I didn't want to go there because I trust that you're right. I trust that your reporting is right.
Yeah.
But the thing, I do think that while that is an important story, the Konecny thing and potential deal is important. I do think that the backup goalie thing, from my vantage point, the backup goalie thing tells you a lot. And there's a very interesting thing that he just said.
Yes, go ahead.
Well, there were 2, actually.
Yeah.
One, every start for Cal is important.
Yes.
That's the immediate.
Did we not just say that
we
before
did.
he came
we
on?
Did.
Yeah, we did.
We did.
We're talking
Si, senor. And then the other thing was we have a lot of Russian goalies in the pipeline, some of whom will be here sooner than later.
Yes.
Hey, Elliot, the next time you put out a report on 32 Thoughts, make sure, give us a backlink.
So we are a Flyers podcast. How great is that the president just jumps on?
Yeah, sure,
no, nothing at all. He just came up, hey, come on, let's go, come on, wave him on. And he jumps on and gives us and our fans the honest evaluation of where things are at very quickly, but with complete honesty.
Yeah.
And really, to be honest, that's why we're here. I think a lot of people notice that, but Jonesy's been amazing to everybody, and really getting the spirit of Ed Snyder back inside the house was his greatest task. I think at the beginning, that's happened, and now you can really see a lot of the player evaluation. It's hard, you get down looking he was in Detroit a few days watching 16 and 17-year-olds.
Yep.
But that's where the game's at now because of the youth, in it.
Yep.
And guys are starting their careers earlier and they're finishing earlier because it's kind of the new model, I think, out there. That's if you're not a star, you don't play 18 years anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just to kind of go back, since you asked about the Konecny thing.
Yeah, let's get back to that.
Because I know that got interrupted there by Jonesy coming on. So my report on the other night, which was I guess it was that Thursday night, right? Was that Danny spoke with Konecny's team, which of course Bundy has just mentioned is Pat Morris.
I can tell you a little bit more about that.
And then they spoke at the All-Star game, and that they are going to speak again when the Flyers are up in Toronto. Konecny cannot sign his contract until July 1st because he's got a year left.
Correct.
Right? So he cannot sign it until July 1st. So these are all these are the preliminary negotiations.
Sure.
Right. But the question is really going to be, what do you pay Travis Konecny? Right? And I think that the money is going to be more important than the term, because I think that the term they'll probably agree on.
They're going to want to go for like 7-8 years anyway, no matter what.
Let me tell you what me and Anthony were talking about, and let me tell you, I think, a little bit of the quagmire with Travis Konecny.
Okay.
He's on the cusp of people's view. Is Travis Konecny a league superstar you can put everyone your team behind and win a cup?
That's the question that's being asked, that's rhetorical?
I'm telling you what I'm seeing.
Okay.
As he sits with his numbers, he looks like a guy that could hit a ticket between 8 and like 9.5, right?
Yeah.
But now you're getting into superstar territory. And I don't know if he is that guy. I'm going to say it. He's not that guy. He's not like a Kucherov, right? And Kucherov has 2 cups to back it up, and he's had incredible seasons. So that's not a shot at Travis. I love him. I love the way he plays the game. But Anthony talked about this. He's on the cusp of, he deserves the money, but if you pay him that money with the term, you're now talking about Draisaitl. And that's the thing. Like, you have Marchand right now making 6.2. I said that to Pat Morris. I said, you got Marchand making 6.2. He goes, oh, that's a 7-year-old deal. It is.
Yeah.
It is. Owen Tippett. So here's the other thing. Owen Tippett's at 6'2", right?
Yeah.
Well, you know Konecny's going to be way higher than that.
Sure.
So automatically, I know that number, at the very least, is starting at 7.5. And
I think it's starting
up,
at...
I'm telling you what I think, 1.3 more. That's my guess.
Okay.
I'm on the low side of honesty.
Okay.
And I think it goes as high as 10.5 a year.
Yeah.
Which, to me, can't happen.
I feel like he's got to be in that 9-ish range. It's like if he...
Do you know who the last Flyer was to make $9 million?
John LeClair.
John LeClair.
That's crazy.
Correct. That is correct.
Yeah.
He's the last
Okay,
Flyer to
so
make $9 million.
can we play this out really quickly, though? Because and I want to get to your point. But some teams, especially with a rebuild, you have to be careful because you want to lock the guy in, but you're kind of betting against yourself. Now, you don't want to end up where you're going into it next year, where it's a lame duck situation and there's the tantalizing opportunity of unrestricted free agency, and I get that 100%. I think you kind of have an idea of what his max level is. I think at this point, like, is he going to become a 40-goal scorer? I don't think so. I don't think he's going to be consistently year in and year out in that 42 range. If he is at $9 million, you're thrilled.
The question you have to ask yourself with that is, he's going to score 35 this year.
Yeah.
Playing with Sean Couturier as his center. If you play him, if you eventually have a center who is more of a playmaker, who can feed him the puck more, can he get to 40? And maybe the answer is yes. I don't know the answer. I'm just saying maybe.
Fair.
But I think really what this is going to come down to is, are the Flyers willing to overpay a little bit? Because I think that's what it's going to come down to.
But he's going to have to give a discount, too, to some degree.
Well, so he's got leverage.
He does.
His leverage is 2-time All-Star.
Yep.
And he's an unrestricted free agent.
And you know what else? To follow up, keep going. There's about 9 teams that will have about $40 million.
And the cap is going up.
And that's the one thing Pat Morris did say. If it don't happen there, it's happening somewhere.
Right.
Yeah.
Because he will get paid somewhere.
The cap is going to go up. So the reality of it that now becomes, and this is just the way the business grows, right? I mean, contracts are going to go up, and we're going to look at those contracts when people get them and like, oh my God, I can't believe they paid that guy that kind of money. But the reality of it is that if it's, let's say it's an 8-year, $80 million contract. Let's just say, or whatever. Just for kicks, right? Let's just say that's the number. By the time you're in year 5 or 6 of that deal, $8 million or $10 million a year,
it won't look the same.
Doesn't look the same as it does right now.
That's true.
Right? So the question, if you're the Flyers, are you willing to overpay a little bit now to get what you perceive as a slight discount down the line.
But how many guys can you pay $10 million to?
You can't pay that many.
This league can't pay. They can't do that with this. Well, that's the model. So what I'm saying is, let me ask you a question, and I know the answer. Would you trade Konecny for Pasternak? And
yes.
Second.
Yeah.
It's two. Don't even ask me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. What's Pasternak? Is he about 11?
I don't know. What
Is he
that
10
deal
or
was?
11?
When was
Somebody
that deal
answer.
signed?
Let me pull it. I got it right here. I'll pull it up. But yeah, it's definitely worth asking that. Just give me 1 second. I'm on Cap Friendly. I just got to pull up the. Bruins.
I can get it there faster than you.
Because that's
He's on a 6-year deal worth, I believe, 40. Yeah, it's 11.2. 11.25, and that contract goes until the 2030-2031 season.
Yeah.
So that is a very good point, Bundy. Absolutely, well taken, like 100%.
So you know you're capped there.
Yeah.
So he ain't going higher now. My issue though is you start going on. Again, it's not a disrespectful shot at Travis. If you pay him that, you're locked into that. That's your guy for 10 years at that number. How do you know in the first 3 years of that deal there isn't some other guy you want to pay $10 million to that may really be the linchpin of all of it?
Well, there are a few big free agents coming up in the next couple of off seasons
So
too.
here's the thing. If we sit here and say, what do you think his value is? You say probably on the low end, what, 8.5?
Probably 8.
8, okay. All right, you say 8. I think that's fair. I think 8's probably right, okay? But he's going to want 10. Do you settle at 9? And say it's a good enough
Doesn't
deal?
go like that because I don't think that they can actually. I don't know, guys. I wish I would have seen a sample size of like every single year. Like Pasternak, you knew what you were getting, right?
Yeah.
You know, and TK's had. Here we Seattle tonight. Here we go.
There we are.
Seattle
It's a West Coast game.
Bringing a lot of
Does
the
everybody
Colorado.
have to come in here and smoke reefer every single time on the balcony? It's unbelievable. It smells like a skunk just ran around the perimeter of this joint. Jesus. It's like Seattle, Colorado. It smells like a dead skunk.
Bundy,
where was
Bundy's
I?
now distracted.
We're talking
about. You know, you were saying with Pasternak, you were able to see it year over year. You know, what you were going to be getting out of him, and you don't feel like Konecny has necessarily shown that same level or that ability. I think the question is the ceiling, and have we seen the ceiling?
I don't know. Yes, I can't imagine we haven't. I can't imagine this isn't the ceiling this year. It's been here a while, right? Like we've seen a lot of different Konecnys. Pasternak, though, to me is just. I mean, he's no. I'm sorry.
So and that's a good point. Like, so let's say Konecny finishes the year. They have 30. He's got 23 goals already, right? In 50 some. Okay. So let's say he gets another 15.
Okay.
10 to 15, 12. Let's say 12 goals. All right. 35. That's a nice round number. He finishes with 35. It's hard to imagine him getting better than that, right?
100, and especially the year he's just had.
That's what I'm saying. It's hard to imagine it getting better. Could it potentially with the right center? Maybe. But really, 35. You have to look at that being your expectation level is.
I just checked this.
Is that
he turns 20? He turns 27 a month from tomorrow.
Yeah.
So, Bundy, like for a winger like that at his size, when is the prime? When are the prime years?
Probably in it.
Yeah, like you would think maybe the age 27, 28 season is where you're, and at that point you're going, all right, well that doesn't line up with the timeline of flipping the switch necessarily. I guess the counter to this, Ant brought up the cap situation, and I guess if you're rebuilding the right way and you're cultivating a lot of these younger guys that you think are going to come up and be part of that flip the switch time, and you're looking at Mishkov is going to come in on a very cheap contract, right? Like you could say like, all right, you average those two deals out and they're both good. You know, you line those two up, and it's like paying two guys $5 million or whatever, paying two guys $4 million, whatever it comes out to. It depends on how critical the front office thinks he is to the culture. Because I will say this once again, and I know people get up in arms. I don't think that this coach is the coach that's going to be there when they flip the switch. I fundamentally don't think we're going to see 68, 69-year-old John Tortorella on the bench coaching Matvei Mishkov. I don't see it. So it's not even a matter of does Travis Konecny like playing for Torts. It's not a matter of, is he part of what Torts is building here? It's beyond that, and is he critical to the organization?
We all love Konecny. He's done an amazing job for the team. He's showed leadership. He's scored big goals. My issue is the number. I wish it was more set in stone where we knew it's 6.5 a year, but it's got to be more than that. But it can't be at a certain number that the agent goes overboard, because then you got to talk about starting to maybe shop them, right? If you don't think you're going to sign them. And the Flyers, quite honestly, have proven they will shop people if it doesn't make sense.
What am I looking at here?
So I want to answer.
I got it. You want me to pull that one up?
Before you do, we had Rory. Rory had a super chat that he submitted to us, and I wanted to get to it just because it was a super chat, and we always answer everyone.
Go ahead.
Thoughts on Ivan Demidov's potential and drafting him? Rory, I can't tell you that I've seen a lot of it. I've seen highlights of Demidov. A lot of people like him, right? I don't know if the Flyers are going to be in position to take him because if they're in a playoff spot, they're probably drafting lower, later in the first round. Now, could they potentially, if they like him, could they potentially package that pick and a later pick, since they have Florida's pick as well, and move up and target a player and go get him? That's a possibility, but we're way early in that evaluation yet. I don't think that they've had any input from scouts yet as to who they would look to be targeting in the draft. I think we'll get closer. They usually have those scouting meetings usually around April, and I think we'll get a little bit better sense at that point of where they're looking to go.
Demidov's a really good player based on what we've seen. He's been very good. Now, we're not sitting and breaking down every KHL game, but he's looked very good. And, call me crazy. I have no national affiliation when it comes to sport. If you're going to tell me that, there's a potential here that you can build out a team that has highly skilled Russian players on it, that's fine. If part of this is, hey, there aren't Russian guys on this team right now. If you're talking about, hey, Mishkov's going to come over and you can get Demidov over here, sure. I think it's actually kind of nice if you have...
And Russian goalies who are coming closer sooner rather than later.
Per the president of the team who was here on the Press Row show. So all those Jekylls and those trolls from a couple of weeks ago, he's like, I can't believe that the team's going to cut ties with Snow the goalie because Anthony put that report out there. President was just here.
It's all right.
That's fine.
You want to throw that comment up real quick?
Yeah, the
name is interesting.
It is. Rich Konecny checks in from Facebook.
It's a Facebook, so it's a name. It's a real name.
Says Pasternak had a higher level of talent around him. His numbers, if he was with the Flyers, wouldn't be close to what he's doing in Boston. TK has the talent if he has some help around him.
Okay.
There's certainly truth to that.
Rich, I'm just curious, Rich, if you're related. And you're not. Your point is well taken, and it's a fair point.
It's a very fair point.
It sounds like something my dad would say about me if he was reading.
I'm just curious if you're related. That's all. Just checking in. Just checking.
We love Travis. Don't get us wrong.
We do.
We're just talking about the number. That's all we're talking about, and what makes fiscal sense. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't. We want Travis here for 10 years, but it's got to make sense, and that's what we're saying. We're just spitballing, and that's what we do here.
Well, listen, you could speak to this as a former player, but he's a young guy with a young family. I think he's got 2 kids now. They're both young, and at some point, you think about that hey, you've got to put down roots, right, as a family, and you don't want to uproot your family when they're school age or wherever that line is as a player. So I think that's also an important part of it, and I totally get why, if he wants to play here and if they can come to an agreement, why it would be good for him, not only as a hockey player, but from the human level, why you would want to get a deal done and not have to think about uprooting everything. So
Rich is not related.
He's not related. All right.
Related. He said he met him a few times and joked that they were cousins.
That's what somebody who is related and forgot that he was on Facebook and not YouTube would say. See that? We got you, Rich.
Got you, Rich.
Great guy,
Rich. We got less than 2 minutes. We got to give our picks. Let's do it quick.
Intern Andrew. Did you pull yours up? Intern Andrew says 4-2 Flyers.
Russ Joy.
Russ Joy did no research on this one tonight. He's been focused on the Super Bowl. Just a really quick glance here. As we come into this one, we know the Flyers have won 2 straight. The Kraken are, they're 500 over the last 2. Let's go with this. Flyers.
11 games.
It doesn't matter. The Flyers are going to lose this game to Dave Hackstall. It is going to be a coaching clinic. Dave Hackstall is going to lead the Kraken to a win tonight against Cal Peterson.
All right,
5-2-2.
I can't believe you just picked Seattle.
Kraken
5-2.
Kraken 5-2.
That's more ridiculous than you picking the exact score in the Boston game.
No, I was right
when
about
you
that
picked 6 goals.
Because I was right.
That's more ridiculous.
It's not.
I think the Flyers win this one. I actually do think that Seattle will find a way to hang in a little bit, and only because it's Cal Peterson in net, and not because if Urson was in, I would think it would be an easy win for the Flyers.
100%.
But I think the Flyers are going to win this game. Believe it or not, I'm going to go 5-3 Flyers.
Wow.
5-4 Kraken.
Look at you! See?
I just dumped you.
That's it!
Deuced you.
Bundy and I, baby, we're seeing the same thing. Let me tell you something.
I had that one sitting on that one.
Listen.
You know what? Why is the line even?
Because Peterson's in net.
Okay,
Yeah, I mean,
so
that's
it's
a
an
big
even
part of it,
line.
yeah.
It's like it's just odd. Seattle hasn't played in 11 days.
They haven't played in 11 days.
Okay.
That's the thing that kills
Who's
me.
the better team? The Flyers.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
You know what I say to your point about the 11 days? They're well rested.
They're well
And so
rested.
are we, and we'll be back here for the first intermission with
Stay
Craig
tuned for the next.
Berube. Make sure you come back.
We got costumes all night too.
Jeez. All right, talk to you soon. Welcome into the Press Row Show, the #1 rated pregame, intermission, and postgame show this side of the Mississippi and south of the Arctic Circle. I'm Russ Joy. That's Anthony SanFilippo. And we were joined pregame by Elvis Bundy, and I believe is this...
This is another option for Anthony postgame.
Is this Babe Bundy?
Babe! Oh, love it.
I'm actually just giving these as options for Anthony to put on. I mean, you can't...
Hey, Andrew, can you zoom in on his face really quick? Because we have to... People might not be able to tell.
Yeah.
Not that he usually has a nose like this, but let's get the zoom on Bundy's face.
Look at that.
All right, turn that to the sideways there, Bundy. To the side. Oh yeah.
Be able to hide that? Where's our guest?
I know.
You got to text him. All right, bring it back out, Andrew. We're good. All right, so I was, Babe Bundy, Babe Bundy.
Yeah, it's something like
Miss,
you got all
not Miss Bundy. Oh, Kermie.
So
I'm going to text our guest.
Yeah, our guest.
Flyers 2-1 after 1.
Our guest is on his way.
Okay.
So not here yet.
2-1 after 1. We will be joined shortly by former Flyers coach and Stanley Cup winning coach with the St. Louis Blues, Craig Berube. He'll be here during the first intermission. Until we get there, guys, let's talk about that first period.
Had some pace to it, hey?
It did.
Sure was.
It absolutely. He was moving super fast at the beginning, and then it slowed up. What I really appreciated, I can't see with these babies on. What I really appreciated, though, was the 6-minute delay to check the offside call that never was. I mean, it was close. I mean, Anthony kind of had a little... Anthony thinks that you shouldn't be penalized for it, and I actually think you should.
Really?
I'll tell you why I don't think you should. And the reason is because it takes...
El luchador, ¿cómo está, señor?
There he is. Look at that.
Buenas noches.
That's another...
That's Philly Luchador. He's on Instagram. He tagged us in his story the other day.
That's awesome. Here he comes. Here comes the boss.
Here it comes, okay.
All right, well, we'll get to the penalty in a minute, but we'll talk to Chief. He's already cursing. He's cursing out Bundy. That's great.
Now, if Berube breaks the no cursing rule in the Press Row Show, we're not held liable for that.
I know,
so.
right? Chief, good to see you again. Welcome back to the program.
It's only been like 10 days since we last had you on the show.
You had so much fun the last time. You're back for more, right?
I asked them to put these things on. They used to put them on. Remember, we put them on in the penalty box one year.
Yeah, we did Halloween.
Bring that closer.
I actually wanted. We're giving Anthony options. He's got a little battle going on. Torch won't answer his question, so I'm trying to get him in there in disguise. And we thought that we're giving him some options.
You gotta ask better questions.
Yeah, that's what, I'm sure the question is the problem, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure the question is the problem. Well, thanks for stopping by. Let's talk a little bit about that first period. What did you see? I saw a game with a lot of pace there. In that
a lot
first
of
period.
pace by both teams. I think the Flyers have done a great job so far in this game of winning the dot to boards battle at both ends. Played a real good period in my opinion. It was a great power play goal. It was a great shot by Lawton, and they gave up that goal, left the slot a little open on it. But other than that, I thought they had a real strong period. I didn't think they gave up very much.
What's your take on, because Bundy and I were having this discussion, what's your take on when you have a coach's challenge and you lose it, getting the penalty as well? Do you think that that's fair? Do you think that's deserved? I think it's a little much, especially when it takes 5 to 7 minutes to review something and it's that close. That's kind of a tough thing to go against the coach there.
It is tough, and it's you got to make good decisions, or you hope you do. And that's a close one there. I don't know. I could have went either way. I thought. To be honest with you, but sometimes you get on the wrong end of it, and you just got to go out and do the job, and they did. They went out and scored a shorthanded goal. It was a nice goal. It was a good play, and they attacked shorthanded.
Yeah.
And they capitalized on it. So it worked out for them.
That was something you were always fond of. Is
always
that penalty kill being a little bit aggressive, right?
Yeah, this year in St. Louis, I think the Blues are leading the league in shorthanded goals right now. We go the other way when we can too, and try to put the other team on their heels a little bit if we can.
Gee, if you get down to this time, we were talking to Jonesy a little bit before the game, and Cal Peterson now just at this point the backup to a guy like Sam Urson, and what's gone on with Carter Hart before. He's not here. How difficult is that maneuvering your goaltender situation down the last 30 games of the season, where you're looking for load management for your number one, but also counting on wins from that guy that you're hoping gets the wins for you. It's more so than just he's going to get.
This is a huge game for Peterson, in my opinion, tonight. He hasn't played a whole lot, obviously, this year. He's been down in the minors, and the other guys played well for him, but they can't keep playing him every night. I mean, that's difficult, especially now after the break. There's a lot of games, so they're going to need Peterson to play well and make the saves he's supposed to make. I think that the Flyers defend well. They block a lot of shots, which is good for the goalie.
What do you like most about the team, Chief? I mean, this is a team, we've talked to Jonesy. When you look at it on paper, it doesn't overwhelm you, especially going back to September, right? When camp starts, you don't know what this team is. What do you like about this group? Obviously they work hard every night. Is there anything that stands out to you?
Yeah, they don't get outworked. They work extremely hard. They're a very aggressive team. Their D are very involved up the ice, getting on their toes and skating. They come at you with 5 guys all over the ice, and they work hard. They outwork most teams nightly, and they're competitive. They have some good pieces, a lot of good pieces. Like, you look at their lineup, and they don't have superstars, but they got a lot of good pieces. They got a lot of guys that are, doing their job and filling their roles and playing to their roles, and that's important.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you about a couple of those guys, because there's a couple of guys that, to me, have stood out for an extended period of time. One of them they just signed to a contract is Ryan Poehling. Yeah. They got him here now a couple years. He scores the shorthanded goal. It's 2 games in a row he's got a shorthanded goal. He's a guy that really just kind of was bouncing around the league a little bit. He didn't really have a spot. And you come to a team like this and you find that role and you fill it and play it well. Those are the kind of players you need, right, to build that winning culture.
Yeah. And like I said, their bottom 6 do the job. I mean, they check, they kill penalties, they play physical, they provide energy for the team, and he's one of those guys.
It's a good combination, I think, sometimes. I was talking to him about it after the last game. When you talk about the bottom 6, they play physical, and your top 6 has a little bit of speed. So you can actually play a game that is a combination of speed and heaviness, and maybe that's where their success is coming from.
And they do play, the team plays with speed. They play a north game, and they know where the puck's going. They dump it in, they go to work, they attack. If they have a room to attack, it's going directly to the net, and they're driving the net every time. It's predictable hockey. When you play predictable hockey, you look fast.
I've been meaning to. I don't know how much you've gotten to watch this team this year. Is there a guy that's like not one of the names that people would expect to hear? Is there a guy that kind of stands out from your vantage point of being a coach in this league? Is there anybody on this team right now that's maybe like an unsung hero or a young guy that you're starting to see take some strides?
Well, I think Frost, I've watched him probably the last month quite a bit, whether it was on TV or coming to games. And for me, he's starting to really find his game, in my opinion. He's looking way more confident. To me, he sees the ice as good as anybody on this team and makes plays as good as anybody on this team. And I find that he's getting more confident with his game, and that's important because he's got skill and he can make plays, and you got to have guys with skill and that can make plays. So he's a guy for me that I've noticed quite a bit that's played well. And the other guy for me is I like the way Walker plays in the back end. He's come in here and
Steady Eddie, huh?
Steady Eddie, and he just know what you're going to get every night. And I like Walker a lot.
If you were in this position or a position, if you were advising this team, Walker's a name that's come up a bunch in potential trade rumors. Just given the state of like where the team is at, where they're at in this rebuild and what he's brought, I mean, really, he's kind of I don't even know the best way to put it. He's not a guy that there were high expectations for, but you have to assume that other teams are seriously looking at him. If you're a coach of another team and you're looking to fortify the blue line, is that a guy that you're willing to kind of go to bat for to the GM?
He's going to be a guy that teams are going to want, and it's going to come down to, what are you going to give up for him? And, the Flyers have got to, make a decision on whether they want to lose him for what the team's offering, or do they want to keep him and try to sign him, or, the Flyers are in a little bit of a tough spot, in my opinion. whether they want to be sellers at the deadline or they want to keep their team because they're in a good spot and they're rolling. It's a good situation to be in, to be honest with you. Like, you know, they're winning. Fans like the team. They're playing winning hockey, which is important, and tough decisions are going to have to be made.
Right, but I think it's, and when you say, and there are tough decisions to be made, but it's a situation where you still keep an eye on the future.
Yeah.
You don't go out and do something to add to this team. You either make changes where you trade for assets, or you keep just this group together and say, go do it, boys.
Yeah, you probably aren't going to tinker too much with adding something to this team. You might add some depth, you know, here and there, but, you know, because injuries happen, and, you know, you want to make sure you got some depth that can go in there and do the job, if you know, in the playoffs. So, you know, the next 2 weeks are going to tell a lot.
Yeah.
Really, that's...
Chief, when you look at putting a team together, this is always kind of like, it goes back to a lot of debate. You have a choice between a number one center and a number one defenseman. Do you have any preference or push either way?
You know, I think for me, a number one D on the back end, you know, really controls a game more than anybody on the ice. And, you know, when you look at teams that win cups, you know, they usually have a top guy back there, you know, playing 25 minutes plus and controlling the game.
Pietrangelo.
Yeah.
You know, I was going to say
had
his
him,
name.
You have
you know, and Vegas has him now, and he won again. And, you know, you just go down the line of, you know, Makar on Colorado, Hedman on Tampa. I mean, it's nice to have that big D-band back there that could eat a lot of minutes and playing all situations for you.
But they're not that easy to find.
No, you got to probably draft them.
Yeah, you can't pick one up.
It doesn't happen very often. I know Vegas got Pietrangelo through free agency. You know, he left St. Louis, but that doesn't happen very often.
Team wasn't quite the same either, right?
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
Big difference. It's
Big
definitely a big difference.
It's a huge loss.
Well, Chief, listen, we appreciate you coming on.
We ever had a TNT guy on before? I know, that's a first.
That's a first. How you liking the TNT gig?
Yeah, I did it the one time. I'm going to go back on. I got some other dates coming up. It was great. It was a lot of fun. You know, very casual, and you know, they let you be yourself on there, and you know,
do they let you be yourself like Snow the Goalie lets you be yourself?
Well, you got to be careful. You know, you got to watch what you're doing.
Yeah. Well, no, seriously though. But I mean, you get to see it from the other side now. You get to see it from our perspective a little bit.
Yeah. No, it was good. I had a good time, and like you said, you know, you get to voice your opinion on what you're seeing and what you think.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
No, nothing at all.
That's good stuff.
That is good stuff.
Chief, always
Thanks,
great
boys.
to see you.
Thanks for stopping
me on.
Yeah, we love having you on.
Thank you.
Craig
it.
Berube here
Talk to you
on
soon.
the Press Row Show. It's like we always say, you never know who's going to show up on the Press Row Show. You just never know. I mean, we did say pregame that Craig Berube was going to be here. And sure enough, he showed up here, intermission, great guy. That was, you know, there's a lot of interesting insight. I saw somebody say in the comments, and I have to agree, I did not have Craig Berube saying that Morgan Frost was the standout guy. I'm going to be honest. I didn't.
There's no doubt he's been very good since that meeting with Torts.
Yeah.
It's been night and day in my mind since then.
I don't disagree. I'm just saying that, like, I'm a little bit surprised that that's the guy who stood out to him in that way. But you know what? Like, you're right. Frost has played well since advocating for himself. But notice that there was another thing that Berube said about Frost. He's confident.
Yeah.
He appears confident.
But he did this last year too, right?
In the second half, yeah.
Listen, and I was on maybe not like Bill Meltzer, but since day one, I like Morgan Frost too. I didn't understand it. Maybe, you know what, maybe the coach is saying, hey, you know, all that stuff was paid off. And I can believe that. I thought it was excessive. I really did with the Morgan Frost. It was unnecessary at times. It was kind of nasty. But he is playing well. And you know what? I know what Chief's saying. There's not enough guys in the league that can handle the puck and make plays with it.
Yeah.
And he's one guy who can.
Well, I've, as someone who was not a big Morgan Frost guy, I can readily admit that for the past 6 weeks he's been very, very good, right?
Yeah.
The thing of it is you can have a guy like that, and you can accept his deficiencies, right? You can accept his deficiencies. I can't see what his shirt is.
It's got a bunch of the Cup greats.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome.
that's
That's
very
That's
cool.
a great
Good
shirt.
shirt.
You can accept his deficiencies if he's consistently providing those skill things that you're looking for up front. You can sit there and go, okay, he made a mistake in his own end, but he's going to make 3 or 4 plays in the offensive end that it's going to give us a chance to score a goal.
Yes.
Right, and so you accept that. It's when he's not doing both, or when he's doing the negative and not doing the positive, where you get concerned about it. And he's not had that. I haven't seen one of those games or a string of those games in the last 6 weeks.
Yeah, and you have to have moments where guys are skilled players that make plays that end up not working.
Yeah.
But you can't do it all the time. And a coach can live with that, right? Like making a play that you're trying to make a play and it just doesn't work. And I think he's done a better job of that. Again, I think he would have been fine regardless of putting him in, but everyone's got a different look at players, and it's interesting.
Vineet Singh is probably correct here. So it's clear Ant has to walk into Torts' office and challenge him to a fight. That'll resolve the press room issues going forward.
Yeah, that's exactly what's going to happen.
That'll do it.
Yeah, because you know me, the pugilist that I am.
Yeah.
Anyway, but Sean Walker was another name that he mentioned, and I thought that it was interesting that he liked him as much as he did, which tells you probably that decision is going to be a last-minute decision for Danny.
Well,
because teams are going to want him.
If a team offers a first, you have to do.
Well, you got a question now. Is Sean Walker a guy you could see being here the next 3-4 years?
He's 29.
3 to 4 years. I said not 8.
I know, but
okay, 3 to 4. Or do you trade him for a first-round pick? That's a tough call.
Well, I mean, age is a big. It's like going into TK, right? These are all hard decisions. Do we keep a guy who's going to start declining or already has at 30 because he's good now? But what I like with Chief saying that is that's what a guy wants. They just want a guy you don't worry about.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what Walker is. Like, you plug him in the lineup and you never say a word to him.
If I'm them, if I know that there's a path to get Mishkov over here sooner, and you have a couple of moves lined up for the offseason, and you know in your heart of hearts, we're going to flip this next year, or at worst in 2 years, then it's a conversation.
Well,
but if they're on that same 3-ish year window before they flip the switch, a first-round pick, you're in a rebuild. You're doing a disservice.
Play a game with me.
Okay.
Play a game with me here for just a minute.
Depends on what the game is.
All right, let's look at their defense, okay? We know you have York and Drysdale.
Yes.
We know you have Sanheim.
Yep.
Okay. Those 3 are here. If you move off from Walker and or Sealer, who are your defensemen next year that's going to make this team take that next step? You got to save room.
Oliver Bonk. He hit 20 goals.
Not next
20
year.
goals last night.
He's not going to be here
He hit
next
20
year.
goals. He went bonk.
He's not going to be here next year. He's 2 years away.
No, I know.
Okay. So he's 2 years away from being a rookie.
Okay.
All right?
Yeah.
So you probably have Andre.
The game just started. Anthony's going to have to make his point. Oh, wait. It's going to be post-game. What will we do?
Second intermission.
Second intermission. All right, we'll continue this second intermission.
All right.
to the Press Row Show, the #1 rated pregame, intermission, postgame show. This side of the Mississippi and south of the Arctic Circle. The Flyers with a 2-1 lead through 2 periods. Pretty soon we'll talk about how important the first 5 minutes of the third period are, but first, let's give a shout out to our sponsor for today, Pack Horse Moving. They proudly serve the tri-state area. That's Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware. And you can get $77 off your next move when you use the promo code SNOW. Now, you can call them on the phone. They have a couple different numbers for the different branches in Burlington, New Jersey, in Norristown, Pennsylvania, in Wilmington, Delaware. You give them a call or you head over to packhorsemoving.com. Give them the promo code SNOW, S-N-O-W, and you'll get $77 off your next move. I can tell you from personal experience, they made moving a breeze. They made it easy, stress-free, and we love our fine friends over Pack Horse Moving. And we forgot to mention before, but both Keith Jones and Craig Berube showing up on tonight's Press Row Show is thanks to our friends at Pack Horse Moving. So,
you know how we're really good about pulling back the curtain on this show?
Yeah.
So just to pull back the curtain for everyone.
Yeah.
Russ was supposed to do that read in the pregame,
but then
forgot to do it. Well,
who showed up?
Jonesy came on.
Jonesy showed up when I was going to do the read.
Okay.
First intermission.
And so between periods, I said to him, oh, well, when Chief comes on, say Chief is being brought to us by Pack Horse Moving, and we do it. And guess who forgot to do it then?
Well, because he took up a lot of time, and we loved it, and there was some great conversation, and we even had to cut your last rant off at the end of the intermission because the game came back. So we wanted to shout out our friends over Pack Horse Moving again.
You just wanted to make sure we didn't forget.
Snow, $77 off. And by the way, if you're looking to pack up and perhaps go on the road with us to the Press Road Show down in Oxford, Pennsylvania, March 16th, tickets are available. Shop.snowthegoalie.com. Limited number of tickets still available. Big old Italian buffet. It's going to be a great time. Come out, hang out with the three of us. Watch the game on a big old screen. Flyers, Bruins will be doing this on the road. All the hilarity. And I've been told that intern Andrew might actually be preparing another poem for that day.
He's also going to be in costume.
Did he buy the costume yet?
No, he has not.
He did not buy the costume yet. Okay.
Anyway, so it's after 2 periods, 2-1.
Yes.
Not a lot of scoring that period. In fact, nothing.
No. Zeros.
I mean,
yeah, it's one of those. It's a weird game, and I see a couple comments about shooting the puck more. They needed to shoot the puck a little bit more. They're trying to run too many passes, I find, to try to be cute.
Yeah.
Seattle's hanging around a little bit. I mean, they had a good power play. Seattle did. They got a little bit of momentum from it. I thought the Flyers had a good kill. But Seattle
Nick Seeler, big block on that kill.
2 of them.
Oh, yeah, it's true.
He actually came across both of them.
Yeah.
I mean, he's such a gamer.
Yeah.
Blocking shot, putting his body on the line like that. I just think the Flyers need to have more of a net front presence.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah. To their credit, I mean, they do have, 22, 23 shots, something like that?
Yeah.
Yep.
DeCord's played really well for Seattle in goal.
He has. He's been giving them a lot of them at least hang around a little bit. The Flyers have had some chances. I just think there's one too many passes. But yeah, DeCord's been good for Seattle. He's a good goalie. And the Flyers feel like they have control of this game, but they're going to, again, first 5 minutes of the third period is going to tell a tale. It always does in a close game like this.
Yeah, and you know what? And we talked about this pregame, and I'd be remiss if I didn't bring it back up. We kind of felt like the first period was going to be the most important period of this game because Seattle hadn't played in 10 days.
Yeah.
Right? So the Flyers really should try and jump out on them there. And they got the first goal, and they had a 2-1 lead after one. So, in essence, they won the period, but they didn't get themselves anything more than that 1-goal cushion, and they haven't been able to add on to it beyond that. And so now you go into a third period against a team that's pretty fresh, and this is, the Flyers playing third game in 5 nights. I mean, this could be a period where, their mettle is going to be tested a little bit as far as, skating and conditioning. This is going to be a tough period, I think.
They've played and Seattle hasn't. So,
right.
Seattle feel like they got their legs under them after 40 minutes and should have a lot more gas in the tank than the Flyers. And keep in mind, the Flyers played 2 very good teams coming in here, even though I think Winnipeg didn't really physically challenge the Flyers. The Flyers took it to Winnipeg. The one thing I'd like to see, though, and I'm sure it'll be discussed, is getting more pucks in between the hash marks. Like, I feel that's where the Flyers really took the game to Winnipeg. And Winnipeg didn't have an answer for it. Again, I think tonight there's a lot of cross plays, and they're trying to make the perimeter pass. across the box. I don't like that. I rather shoot the puck and throw a guy towards the front of the net for rebound traffic.
I think we had a. You wanted me to remind you.
We did. There's a super chat that came up a little bit ago. Tony Louie asked, would you trade Travis Konecny for Bowen Byram from Colorado or Brant Clark from LA?
I don't know.
Is now an okay time to talk about trades? Like, how close to the deadline do we have to get before it's okay to start talking?
The trades have already started to happen. It's after the All-Star game. We're less than a month from the trade deadline.
Yep.
There's a lot of conversation about trades. I think it's okay. This is the time of year that when, I think it's okay for you to bring up trades, Russ. You'll never hear me complain about it, between the All-Star game and the trade deadline. I'm cool with it at that point. It's when you're doing it, in July, August. That's when it drives.
So anyway, would you make either of those moves?
I don't think I would. I don't know about you, Bundy. I mean, Bo Byram has not really. I mean, we've been hearing about Bo Byram in Colorado for several years now.
Yep.
And his name keeps coming up, and they still haven't traded him. So they were kind of hoping he'd develop, and he hasn't quite gotten to, I think, the level that everybody thought he was going to get to just yet. Maybe he's still got time, young player. I don't know if I'd do that 1-for-1. There might have to be something else.
Yeah.
In both of these trades, in essence, Tony, I would think both of them, there would have to be something more to entice me to trade Konecny for one of those
Byron's
guys.
beyond what they call an elite prospect, though. I mean, he...
Oh, certainly is.
Absolutely. But I'm just saying, I don't know about that one either. That seems like... I don't know. Again, there'll be evaluation. Is Drysdale the number one that they're hoping for? He hasn't been since he's been here.
Yeah.
But again, that's a project still. There's a lot of work to be done with a guy that's played in a bad organization like Anaheim. Not a bad organization, a team that wasn't winning, and they went through coaching changes, and there wasn't a lot.
They played man-to-man defense.
They do. It's almost impossible.
Which you can't do.
Yeah, you can't. You got to zone it up at some point.
Right.
You got to take the back end of the battle. It's a hard system to play. It really is.
Yeah.
And no one does it. I mean, it's next to impossible to stick with the same.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's kind of silly, and you got to break him out of that because that's all he's known for the last 3 years, in essence. I mean, I know he didn't really play entirely in the NHL that time, but that's kind of what they've been teaching and coaching there. So you got to anticipate it's going to take a minute, and I think Bradshaw will do a good job with him. Bradshaw's turned into he's like he's a whisperer, man. Like he can fix guys, he can do some things. There's been a lot of talk about talking about trades, talking about Rasmus Ristolainen. Can they move him? Can they get somebody to take on that salary? And that's the challenge. That's where things are going to be difficult. The Flyers will probably, if they do want to trade him, do want to move him, they're going to have to eat some salary because nobody's going to take his cap hit. But there's a lot of teams, from what I understand, that really like him right now, but they're a little bit concerned that they like him because they're seeing him in the Flyers system, and that when you trade for a guy mid-season, it might be a little bit harder to get him
to look the same in a new system.
Yes. Whereas if you trade for him in the summer, and you have an entire camp and things like that to kind of get him acclimated, that might be a little bit easier, right?
There's no doubt. That's why there's not a lot of mid-season trades. You get stuff at the deadline for teams that are trying to add a player they feel they need. But mid-season trades, like big ones, and that was a big one. The only difference was that Gauthier wasn't playing in the NHL yet. When you make a trade for Drysdale. But I do agree. And as systems get implemented in training camp and coaches put in the way that they want their team to play during the year. So it is very difficult to come in a trade and do that. And when you go back to Risto, absolutely. I mean, they're gonna have to eat something. And he goes to a contender. I mean, he's a depth guy.
I gotta think that. What's his cap hit? 5.1, I think it is. I think that's right.
Is that what it is? I thought it was 5.5, but I may be wrong.
I think it's higher than. Yeah.
I'll double check.
I think,
but whatever. Right. I think that he's probably, the team would look at him and say, we'll take him, and if we only have to pay like 3.5, and the Flyers eat the rest, I think a team would then take him and give you something. Danny would want something else on top of that. He's 5.1 is his cap hit for the rest of this year and 3 more seasons after. So Yeah, if you're willing to eat about 1.6 each season against your cap, I think that you could do it.
There's your question tonight, Ant.
What's that?
There it is, right there on the white.
Oh, about the challenge attempt? Yeah, it's a good idea.
You know what's going to happen. Ant's going to ask that question, and we know how this is going to go.
Not answering your questions.
There, we've already previewed it.
Yeah, it's going to go over like a fart in a spacesuit.
Yeah.
If you have a big enough helmet, you can
you have any more
purify that out.
disguises for me?
Oh, I got all kinds. I haven't brought them out yet.
Oh, there's more to come.
What do you want?
All right, we got more disguises coming. Well, while you think
I'm trying to find, there was a really great comment in here, by the way, because we've been talking about trades, and a lot of times you go look over at the board or you kind of do a little bit of sleuthing over there to figure out which teams are in attendance. And the worst kept secret for a year now has been that Toronto has had eyes on every team for defensemen. And Risto's name has come up a few times, and Walker and Sealer. I don't know what that's going to look like, and I don't know if they'll ultimately pull the trigger on a deal. But that would appear to be, again, a partner that if it's not at the deadline in the offseason, you would think that there's at least going to be continued discussions. But there was somebody, and I wish I could find it because it was my favorite comment of the season so far. And it was from one of our regulars, and I haven't been able to find it. But somebody said, there was a rumor that a Buffalo scout was in attendance, and somebody said, "Oh, well, what are they looking for? What are they watching for?" And our guy said, "A good hockey team."
You want to talk? I mean, that's what the way they're doing things here. That's what they're trying to avoid, right? Yeah. You cannot be Buffalo, where you get different managers saying they got a good team and they tell their team they're good this year. I don't get it.
You know who? First of all, let me say this. I think that we
there
make
it is. Barry Schaefer.
Yeah, we make a little bit too much out of what scouts are at games.
I agree, because sometimes scouts just go to games because they're in the area.
Right? And sometimes they just go to go. And there are, at this time of year, there are 12 different teams scouting every game. It's just really, that's just what it is, right?
Yeah.
So to sit there and it's who's scouting the game tonight? And you don't know. They may not even be looking at anybody on your team. They might be looking at the opposition. So we got to put all that out as a caveat. That said, Buffalo is a team where they could use some veteran leadership. No, seriously. And if you really want to say who could Buffalo be looking at,
21.
Maybe they could be looking at Scott Lawton.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
So that's one that kind of makes.
Here's something though to chew on with that.
Yeah.
Lawton's been here a bit.
Yeah.
That would be a real dirty trade. I know you worry about to send him to Buffalo.
Yeah.
I mean, now you got no chance. I have a feeling if you want, you'll have an opportunity to move him to somebody who can be in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's almost like that's a move that you make if you don't really care. If a guy hasn't been here for an extended period. I know what you mean, though. It does kind of feel a little bit dirty because then again, Bundy, any pick that you would potentially get in a deal for Lawton, if it's Buffalo, is going to be far better than whatever a contender is going to offer you. And I think that's part of the difficulty of weighing a move like that.
And again, I mean, no one's going to come into a deadline and say, "Oh, I want to make sure." But believe me, there are GMs that think of the player also and what he's done for the team. And so there's maybe consideration, but also if you know that you're getting something, you're not going to hesitate.
No, I heard that Buffalo's really intrigued by one of the Flyers' defensemen. They think that if they can make a playoff push at some point down the road, that there's a guy. They're really intrigued by Rasmus Ristolainen. Buffalo.
Stop it. No, but what Buffalo can do.
You don't know what you have till it's gone.
The way Buffalo can be looking at it, in all honesty, is you trade for him. He provides a little bit of locker room boost to a team that's not going anywhere, but you kind of help a little bit. And then maybe they can flip him. Then maybe they look at it as then we can flip him for something, with only 1 year left on his contract in next season. So, I mean, that's how maybe Buffalo's looking at it. I don't know. I'm just saying. That's just a possibility.
Buffalo's been rebuilding since 20 years.
Since Briere was there.
I mean, literally, it's like they keep going in and they change everything. I mean,
they're like a bad house flipping company. They get a piece, right? Like they get an Eichel, right? And you're like, all right, cool. Like, we have this one really good thing, and then it doesn't work, and then they tear it back down to studs again. And then they get, it's just not good. Foundation sucks.
Hey, by the way, before we forget, because, I know there's only 2 minutes left, we got to go to intern Andrew for his trivia question.
Although he can't come up on the screen because he doesn't have video over there because
That's
it's connected to the...
You don't need to see it.
All right, go ahead.
We just have to hear him.
So we're playing Seattle tonight, the 32nd team to enter the NHL. Last year was their second year in the league.
That's
first
correct.
playoff appearance, first playoff win, first playoff series win. They upset Colorado. Now, ironically, the team that ended up winning the Stanley Cup last year was the 31st team to enter the league, the Vegas Golden Knights. They won the Stanley Cup in just their 6th year in the NHL. So my question for you is, can you name the NHL expansion franchise that took the longest to win their first Stanley Cup?
Took the longest.
So
St. Louis.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's the Blues.
I didn't have to wait.
They came in with the Flyers.
I wish you could see intern Andrew's face.
If you said Vancouver, they do it. That's the next team up.
I don't think they've ever
never won.
I was going to say, I was excluding teams that have never won. So our friends from Buffalo still have not won. St. Louis took them 52 years. And, I wrote that question yesterday. I had no idea Berube was even coming on.
Yeah.
It is funny how it all tied in.
That did tie in.
That.
Yes.
Intern Andrew, you marvelous little beaut.
That was a good question. That's a good question.
Nice
That's a good one. Yeah,
that was a good one. We have to figure out a way to have his camera on, too, because I don't think it's right that we don't have him on camera when he's doing trivia. We're going to figure it out. But the camera's going through there. We'll figure it out for next show.
I'd rather figure out the camera in the locker room before figuring out camera for intern.
No, I think it's just part of the mystique.
Good. It was the audio last time.
Yeah, we figured it out.
We figured out what the problem was, but Russ won't tell you what it is on the air.
All right.
It was me.
55 seconds here, and I'm going to tell you right now, the Flyers need to have a much better start to this third period. Right?
How important are the first 5 minutes of this period, Bundy?
Extremely important, because you know what? Anthony said it too, and I know it. Flyers are going to feel like maybe they're back on their heels, because Seattle's going to they should have energy. They should.
I have one data point to point out here, and it's not money puck. A lot is riding on this game. Right now in our unofficial prediction standings, Bundy leads the way with 32 points. I'm in second place with 28 points. Anthony SanFilippo, 23 points. Intern Andrew, 15. Intern Andrew has a chance to really make some headroom here and to make some hay catching up to Ant. I will point out that if this game holds, as a win,
we both picked the Flyers.
I was going to say, if this game holds, Anthony will only be 8 points behind. So we will be back for post-game, Bundy and I. Ant will either have a player interview after a win or maybe either way, he'll go talk to Torts. You going to go talk to Torts? You have a question ready?
Oh, the game's not over yet. I don't plan questions. I've said this before. I go in there and listen to what's being said.
Not answering your questions.
We'll talk to you soon. Well, hello there. Welcome into...
There you go, everybody. Big win.
Welcome into the Press Row Show post-game, the #1 rated pregame, intermission, and post-game show this side of the Mississippi. I'm Russ, that's Bundy. Look at this beaut you got on here.
So we had a guest tonight, and this is the jersey I wore proudly for 3 years in Lake Placid at Northwood School. So the young fella, talk about this name for broadcasting, Gus Garvey.
That's a great name.
Great name for broadcasting. He came and shadowed us tonight, and I gave him a tour of the press box. A 16-year-old aspiring broadcaster, and he brought a jersey from the varsity that it wasn't my number, but it was one that they had, and he wanted to give to us. So I thought it'd be a great night to put it on. Northwood Prep School. It was a hockey factory in the 80s and 90s, and I know they're trying to get back. But thank you for Gus as dad, and my good friend, teammate, who's now doing a lot at Northwood, John Spear. So great to have him here. What a night. What a big win.
Big win.
Big win.
Big win. It's a win that neither you nor I predicted. Anthony and intern Andrew pick up a much needed point in our standings. So to update the fine folks at home who are keeping track, that now takes Anthony to 24 points, which is still quite the distant second. You remain at 32. He's down at 24. I'm actually ahead of him at 28. Intern Andrew improves to 16. The real shame in our standings is that last goal, that empty net goal, was about it was 1/10 of a second or so late. Had it gone in, that would have been 4-2. And 4-2 would have gotten intern Andrew 2 points instead of 1. He celebrated like the Flyers won the Stanley Cup.
Dude, the guy's so out of it. It's like a non-playoff team winning a meaningless game against a bad team.
Yep.
That's what intern Andrew was staring down at tonight.
He was excited, and it didn't come up intern Andrew today. So, whoa. Flyers Cup says nobody cares about the Snow the Goalie standings. We care about the real standings. Hey, Flyers Cup, chill out. Take a deep breath, Flyers Cup.
I got a trophy at the end of the year waiting for me. I better pull it off. See you guys. Big win tonight. We love it.
So a lot of interesting things, a lot of interesting storylines, and I think we have to, let's go with one of the things that we talked about for the last few days, but especially tonight. Sam Ersson had been fantastic in net since the All-Star break. Cal Peterson stepped in tonight, and
did a good job.
He stepped up. He came up with a result that they needed. You have to feel good about that. I mean, we had Jonesy on pregame. I intend on putting that in the podcast feed to the people who listen after the fact. But when Jonesy was asked about what was going to happen at the goalie position with backup goalie, he said, well, every start that he has is an important one. He's important to what we're doing now. But we do have a lot of goaltenders in the system, a lot of Russian goaltenders, some of whom could be here sooner than later.
Absolutely. And again, it's a big statement from the president to mention, to really let our fans and the Philadelphia public know that there are options, and it's important that. So here's the deal with goaltending. I just want people to know this. Very rarely will you find somebody, even if he's Russian and you have a guy, a veteran that knows the league, that's playing well, you won't necessarily want to insert the guy that is the unknown into it.
Yeah.
Unless the guy that's here, meaning Peterson, the backup, has been substandard or not performing the way that he needs to perform to give him those backup minutes. So tonight was game one for him in terms of what they're looking at, and I think it was he did a great job. He really did.
It was really good. Hunter Mikos checks in over on YouTube, says they played exactly how they needed to in front of in front of Peterson. I'm getting so used to saying Ersson around these days. Mike also says that everybody cares about everything. Snow the Goalie. Timeout. Must have just joined. Let the people know again. So that's Northwood, right?
I went to Northwood School in Lake Placid for 3 years. That's where my hockey was born. And you know what? I played practice every day. But I had a young kid shadowing me tonight, and he brought a jersey for me from the school. So I decided, you know what the hell? I mean, this was where it all started. For me. And I thought I'd honor the school by putting it on, big N on the front. And then you got the nice logo on the back. And
nice.
It's a place that put out many NHLers over the years that played a lot of games in the NHL. So, good spot.
American Wit checks in over on YouTube, says it's about time the trade bait have turned it around. Now we can trade them. We talked about a few of those names throughout the game. Scott Lawton was a name that came up potentially with Buffalo. We just kind of threw that out there as a hypothetical, a team that could be looking for a leader. We know that Toronto has had extended interest in Rasmus Ristolainen, in Walker, as well as Sealer. It's an interesting time around here. We did talk about that during the intermissions about, can you hold on to a Walker if a first-round pick is offered? All those things they're going to kind of come into focus here over the next few weeks. Things can change tremendously here over the next 3 weeks leading up to the deadline.
Yeah, and you continually need to evaluate your team, right? And again, if that first-round pick is a better look because it's going to be younger and it comes from a team that you're going to get a higher pick, that may be worth looking at. I seriously doubt any team that's picking in a spot where they can get a Sean Walker. I don't think anybody's going to give up a top 10 pick for him. I mean, that would be unbelievable, but I just don't see that happening. So, it'll be interesting, and there's a lot of different potential moves they can make.
Yeah.
I don't like talking about it this early because I want to keep evaluating guys. What's going on here a little bit in terms of what I think there's value, but right now, there's a lot of options. There really is. Yeah. There's a multitude of them, and again, how many of them Danny wants to execute, or Jonesy, how much they talk about it, I don't know yet. We will find out.
Yeah. Question, do you think the coach is going to be more effusive in praise tonight? Is this a game that he's going to feel better about?
I don't know. I thought they played well last night. I thought that Sanheim did play well. Paling played well. Good shot by Sanheim on the redirection by Coots.
Yeah.
To get them the lead back again. And, oh, man.
Mike is asking over here, are we going to get good audio or good video tonight is the real question. Now, I will tell you, we think we've ironed out the process, although intern Andrew's currently pointing the camera at the floor, which is never great. You never like to see that. I see Anthony on his phone. I'm getting good vibes tonight, Bundy. I think that there's a chance that they nail it tonight. And if they don't, one of them gets dangled over the glass here. Remember when Michael Jackson dangled the baby over the balcony?
I do.
We could do that with intern Andrew, maybe.
Yeah.
I think we'll have an easier time doing that than Ant, but remains to be seen.
I agree.
Let's see. Cryptic Cowboy says the return for Lawton would be a first and a pack of Skittles. I cannot imagine a team right now trading a first for Scott Lawton, but crazier things have happened. I guess we'll see over the next few weeks what kind of things are going around. Nick Schreiner asks, will Ant get a question answered tonight? We don't know. We do not know. Let's see. Oh, look at this. Brad Panthel says, solid game for Peter Ersson. That's pretty good. I like that, Peter Ersson.
That's pretty clever.
That is good. I like
clever.
that. That's very smart.
I like that.
Q-Del says, keep drafting more Russians. We need to turn this team into the Red Army. There was a question that came up, I believe, during first intermission about Demidov and about if you're the Flyers and you're in position that you could draft the kid, would you take him? And we said,
you don't. There's been like an old. You can't have like 12 Russians on your team. You just can't.
Yep.
And that's not misogynistic. You cannot have 12 guys speaking Russian and the other 8 trying to figure out what's going on.
Кто это?
Because we used to tell them, they'd sit in the corner speaking, right? Mm-hmm. No one knew what they were talking about. They could be calling anything they wanted. Mm-hmm. And so we used to tell them, guys, you got to work on, we're all trying to communicate together here. But yeah, it's nice. They have a lot of skill. But even many veterans and veteran leaders have said, yes, but you got to be absolutely certain with what you're getting with the Russians.
I've committed to learning at least some Russian by the time Mishkov gets here.
I'm not speaking.
I speak
Russian
a few
ever.
languages, so I can figure it out.
The only word
That's
I ever
the
knew in my
Goalie
life
exclusive.
was Nostrovia, and that makes a lot of sense.
Tavarish. Tavarish means comrade.
I don't even know what that means.
See, there you go. Hey, one of my old students just checked in. Tyler Prakowski. What's up, Joy? Great win along for the Ride Go Flyers. Hope you're doing well. It's a good kid. He's a good kid.
Oh yeah, I love that.
How about that?
Love it.
Are we taking Brendan Ficarra? Are we taking odds on if Ant gets a question answered or if Torts remains petulant? Don't know.
I'm not really sure.
We'll see.
Who's yelling?
I don't know. Not us. Jay Grebby says that Friedman said tonight Buffalo's looking to improve their team now, not looking for future. Buffalo's been looking for a while.
20 years. They've had guys in there they basically won Vegas the Cup for them.
Yeah.
with the Eichel.
With Eichel,
I mean, I like Tuck. Like, he's a good player, but I mean, you traded Jack Eichel. I mean, he'd end up turning the corner.
Yeah. Drysdale, there were a lot of comments throughout the game about Drysdale and about how much better the power play as a whole looks with him on it. And it appears that thus far, since he's gotten here, like, we always talk about that cascading effect, about how it kind of allows guys to fall into roles that on a good team, they would be in, where you're not asking too much of them. And Drysdale's been impressive. There are moments in his game, but for the most part, like, you're getting what you expected to get from him, I think.
I think so. I mean, and again, like we talked about it last period, like I like Drysdale, but there's a lot more there. I mean, there's still some nights where he does things that you don't want to see your defenseman do, but that's just because he hasn't really been taught yet, on a team that's winning games and playing the right system and playing the right way. So I give him credit for that. And again, the other thing too, I like, he does compete pretty good in his zone. Like, he's a guy that's willing to really get the poke check on and the battle. So again, I like that comment right there by Spiral. Trust the process. And you know what? Again, it's not what we saw with the Sixers 10 years ago in that mess of a process.
Yeah.
But this is actually like, they're trying to like qualify who's good, and you have a lot more players to work with than just 5 or 8, 9 guys that your 5 starters in basketball with the subs. So putting a hockey team together is a lot more difficult in ways because you have to slot everybody properly.
Yeah.
You never want to have somebody playing in a 1C if he's really a 3C, because that's what makes your team. And
they tried that for a bit here.
There's a lot of people out there in hockey that work for teams that aren't that smart. I mean, I'm just telling you, it's just true. I mean, it's like any place in the world where you go out and you evaluate people, and they're going to tell you, "Oh, that guy's good." That's why certain teams have been bad forever.
Yeah.
So that's why it's important to have good scouts and people that know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah. There were some other things. Hold on. We're getting a message in here. Oh, intern Andrew says that our guest is here. And the guest tonight is none other than Garnet Hathaway. Well, it looks like intern Andrew's video is back to being awful. So here we go. We're going to throw it down there and hope that Anthony has audio.
Good. All right, we're here in the locker room with Garnet Hathaway after the Flyers' victory on the Snow the Goalie postgame. Garnet, you guys seem to play this game with a little bit more emotion than most. And I think it was because you guys knew that this game was going to be a lightning pace right from the jump, didn't you?
Yeah, they're a fast team. Yeah. Something we've focused on a lot this year is knowing your opponent, knowing where they are in their schedule, how they've been doing lately, kind of how they're feeling about their game. And a team that's coming off the break had a lot of energy. They were fast when we played them in Seattle. So, our emphasis was a good start, scoring the first goal. And that's something we focused on last game. And it worked for us, and we kind of rolled and we let our game slip a little bit. And so tonight was about kind of focusing on keeping that. But they're a good team. So they snuck a couple past Cal. I don't know how, but he played unbelievable. But that's just kind of how it happened tonight.
I was going to get to Cal in a minute, but just to follow up on what we were just talking about. But them being fresh and you guys playing 2 games, the last 2 days, was it even that much more important to find that little bit extra inside to be able to play at that speed that they play at?
Yeah, it might go both ways, I think. It was just a couple of days ago, we came back from the break. You get your legs under, you're fresh, but you might not be in it completely. You don't know maybe the ins and outs, the timing might be a little off. So to be able to play 2 really good opponents back from the break already for us, I think it helped us kind of realize how hard you have to play in order to get wins. And we were able to play close, tight games that we're continuing to roll with that. So we're kind of ready for everything they're going to throw at us, but we're trying to grind them down a little bit more as well.
You talked about Cal, first game in the NHL in, I think it was 92 days. You didn't face a ton of shots, but the ones that he faced, he had to make some big saves for you guys. Yeah. Really kind of impressive after not being out there for so long.
Yeah. I mean, you said it right. It's a week off for a break without a game compared to 92 days is insane. But that's a testament to what he's done every day and the way he shows up to the rink for us. I can't imagine, it's not an easy life being a backup, but being on call basically whenever. So, yeah, he showed up tonight for us, and that was a huge reason why we came out with a win.
One of the big reasons why I wanted to talk to you after the game tonight is you guys did it again on the penalty kill. And you score another goal. You get the pass out there to Paling, and he scores it again. What is it about? I mean, it's getting to a point where it's like, this is crazy. You guys are so effective offensively when you're shorthanded, you're supposed to be playing defense.
That's a mentality too. I think when we're good in the kill, we're aggressive, we're on our toes, and I mean we watch film every game day about it. We talk a lot about it. Our first mission is to kill the penalty, and I think when you look at percentage-wise, we do that a lot. I think it's kind of just shows how comfortable we are, like our communication level. It gets to the point where we know good positions where we can counterattack. We're aggressive enough that we're always moving with the puck together. So it doesn't. And Pale's the play that I've been doing. You know, he's seen me leave the zone like that, and it's because he knows. Maybe go back and Seals makes a great play down low to get it to me to keep going, kind of break pressure. And so it's stuff we talk about pregame skates, practices. We do a lot of penalty kill against our units. So it's one thing that, day in and day out, we're kind of saying, hey, focus on the details. And that's helped us go in the games.
Last question from me. There's 29 games left in this season. Yeah, I know. It's right. It's going by quick, right? But I think there's a lot of people probably outside of your locker room who, if we would have said with 29 games to go in the season, the Flyers are going to be in a pretty good spot, in a playoff spot, they would have laughed at us, or anybody would have said it. You signed here in the offseason. What was your thought? Did you ever think that could be where this team could be at this point? Honestly, did you think so?
That's a loaded question.
I mean, seriously. I mean, it's okay to say you're a little bit surprised. You surprised yourselves a little bit, but if no,
I heard a lot of unbelievable things about this locker room.
Okay, cool.
You look at two guys like Coots and Cam who are coming back, who are huge parts of this team, and I've played against these guys for a long time. You look at TK, Lots, guys, Sandy, guys who they're hard to play against. Seals, it's tough to get through those guys. And every time I came to Wells Fargo, it was a battle. No matter where they were in the standings, they always fought. And that's what the city's built on. That's what the fans love, right? That's what I knew coming in. I knew a management organization that wanted to get back to where they were before and where they think they can be. And they had a lot of the tools already. And so we have a group now that, we're clicking in a way that guys are close off the ice, and it's helped us transition to that fast-paced, kind of tenacious game on the ice.
Well, everybody's enjoying it. It's a lot of fun. Keep it going.
Thanks.
And we'll talk to you again soon. Garnet Hathaway here on Snow the Goalie Postgame. Thanks again, my friend.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Oh, let's go this way.
Oh, it's all right.
All right, and we're back here, way up here. Welcome back into the postgame show. A lot there from Garnet Hathaway. Guy is a
great dude.
He really seems to get it. He seems to understand the role. It's funny, if you remember back to the offseason, there was that hot mic incident where somebody goes, why would he want to play here? The question was like, what made you want to play in Philadelphia? And it was like,
I'm going to tell you a great story. Right? So
I love great stories.
My buddy Rick, who's a great friend of mine, and his buddy James, who's probably listening right now, they go for coffee in Haddonfield in the mornings.
Mm-hmm.
And Garnet Hathaway walks in, sits down and has coffee with him. How great is that?
Really?
And then Coots comes in, and then they get a little bit of info from Coots and talking hockey, how they felt. That's just the kind of stuff that you love, right? And that's what I think a lot of us have prided ourselves on each other. I'll talk to anybody. I don't care if you're in a supermarket, a Wawa, whatever.
Yep.
If you got a hockey question and I got enough time, I'll sit and spend it with you. But that's just the kind of dude he is. It doesn't separate from going like the hockey players and sitting at the hockey player table. He mingles with the guys, like regular dudes that just don't play hockey, but they're great guys. So I love that. It's really, really good.
I want to give a significant shout out here to Allison. Allison is the one who's been compiling all of the predictions for the fans. And Allison is incredible. We're going to make sure to send her and her kids some Snow the Goalie swag. But she updated the prediction points here. Eric Rothstein, 7 points. Mike Boots, 6 points. He also has 7 points. 6 points. Alex Town, Tim Tobin, 5 points. Andrew Jacobson, 4 points. Dee Skinner. Everyone else is 3 points or below. And if you're like, I wonder how many people are really doing predictions. How many people is she tracking? Allison points out there are 112 people that she's tracking on the spreadsheet.
My God.
112.
It's like a job.
And we're so grateful. This is why we love our fans. This is why we love the people who listen to the show and all that. What
Where's
about
Ant
it?
now?
I don't know.
You got orders to Torts?
Well, I sent a message to intern Andrew asking if they're going to go to the Torts presser. Let's be honest, all right? Ant's never talked to somebody that long on a post-game interview.
I think he got scared, huh?
I think he got scared. I think Ant's afraid.
You know what? I can guarantee you he does not care one little.
No, he doesn't. But I'm absolutely going to. We're going to just keep talking.
Remember last year when he hogged Torts when Torts got hired, and Anthony takes the Snow the Goalie account and goes and interviews him on his own.
Interviewed him in the car.
Interviewed him on his own, and didn't even tell me and Russ. I'm like, are we doing this?
Oh, that was not a good day.
That was a bad day.
That was not a good day.
It looks even worse now.
That was not a good day. The number one, there are 2 times that I have been a bit omniscient in how things were going to go. It was that, and it was something to do with a person who's not with this team anymore. And the one that had to do with the person who's not here anymore, I said, this person, you have to be careful because I'm sure that at some point they're going to try to spread fake news around because they want to figure out where the leaks are. And they tried, and thankfully Ant caught it. But the other thing was when he did that interview with Torts, I said, based on, because we weren't happy, but based on the way that went down, I said, you better hope that you've built up enough equity there because he will flip on you in a second. And when he does, you're going to look like a dope. And we love Ant. We love Ant. We think he's a great guy.
Great guy.
But, we'll see. I have not gotten a message back yet. I do see I don't know where this camera's at.
I tried to get Chief to put the costume on tonight.
He didn't put one on, though, did he?
I think it was because of TNT, because Chief would have done it.
Yeah.
I always thought that would be just the ultimate.
I can't tell where intern Andrew is. Should I pull this video up really quick?
No.
Where do we think he is? It's blacked out. What I can see, it looks like the elevator. I think they're on their way back up.
All right.
All right. So anyway.
Great.
Hey, a big thank you to everybody who tuned in. We have to take a look at what are the games coming up. There's another one on Monday, correct?
There is another game Monday against the Arizona Coyotes.
And then they're back on the road, and they're not here for a while, if I remember correctly. Yes, that is correct. So the Flyers are back here on Monday against the Coyotes. We'll be doing the Press Row show. We'll have another show at some point next week. Thursday, they're in Toronto.
Yep.
Next Saturday, they're in New Jersey. The following Wednesday, they're in Chicago. They don't play again here until the 24th against the Rangers. It's a long gap between home games. So a 12-day gap between home games. So we'll be back here Monday. I hope everybody has a great time. Super Bowl prediction for you?
A Kansas City will win.
You think so?
Yeah.
Score? Do you think it'll be close? We don't have to do scores, but do you think it'll be close?
31-27.
31-27. Anthony didn't go to the Torts presser. What's your score prediction?
Super Bowl.
Oh, he wants to come back on.
I'm just going to just watch the soda.
I got you.
I mean,
just turn the camera, Andrew.
Some guys like yuck KC.
Super Bowl prediction?
If I said San Fran, they would have been mad about
everybody and their mother is picking Kansas City. So you know it's going to be San Francisco.
Well, you're Aunt San Francisco. You've been on this train for over a year.
27-23 49ers.
Get out. Kansas City's winning this one. Going away.
Okay, we're going to see you guys in 2 nights. We're signing off.
30.
Yeah. Everybody wants to go watch their night TV.
38-27.
Remember tonight.
Kansas City.
Layeth the smacketh down.
Tonight's Saturday night. Blue and Nuit if you're in
Oh, Jesus. All right, we're getting out of here. Everybody have a great night. I can't with you.